Welcome to another edition of Abby's Power Lunch, your APL, where we talk to women in business from around the Caribbean, women in small and large businesses with inspiring stories about their journey and the anecdotes of powerful dreams yet to be fulfilled. This week, we sit down with international track star Aliann Pompey, who is the founder of AP Invitational Meet in Georgetown, Guyana. She is also the sprint and hurdle coach at St. John's University in the USA. We will have our full sit down right after this.
Hello, good day, and welcome to another edition of Abby's Power Lunch. We're here with the incredible Aliann Pompey. Now, I've waited a very long time to have this interview, and I know that the wait was worth it because I, as a young girl growing up, seeing all your accolades and seeing all that you have accomplished, placing Guyana on the map, I have looked up to you. And you've been one of my role models. I tried with sports, but I just couldn't carry on. And so I'm hoping that one of my children would, carry on the legacy of sports for Guyana. But you have done well, and I am so proud of you and all that you continue to do to put Guyana on the map. And so today I really just want to let our audience get to know you a little bit more, what you are doing, what you have accomplished, and your plans for the future for Guyana and for yourself in general. So thank you for giving me some of your time.
Well, thanks, Abby, for having me. I think I've waited just as long as you have for this interview. And maybe sports wasn't your calling, but this is a tremendous venture, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all you're doing for women. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. I want us to go back a bit. Let's go back to young Aliann, and let's dig up some of those old memories of growing up in Guyana. What was it like for you here in Guyana? What was your childhood like?
It was great. I had some of my best memories here. I've always romanticized my childhood, and anyone that speaks to me or that you would speak to about me would say that my youngest days that I can recall were spent in Beehive, which is right next to Anne's Grove, which is on the East Coast. And then I went up to Berbice, Lovely Lass specifically, and I went to high school there, and I spent the beginning of my teenage years there. But I have a lot of memories of Beehive. My best friends that I had then are still my very close friends now. Baby Shira, who lives in Georgetown now, and Manto Samantha. She's still in Ansgrove. She's a teacher now. We're still very close. We're still very connected. And I think a big part of who I am now was started there as, this shy little girl with, these two friends for the most part, and my siblings. So I think my childhood here framed, the person that you have now. Those days get further and further away, but as I get older, I think of them more often for some reason.
Great. So you are a leading light in the sports industry here in Guyana. What were some of your first memories? What is your first memory of you competing in sports?
Actually, it's a sad story. I think I got last.
Really?
It was at Bushlat Secondary. Before that, my sister, Shella, she was very good at the 100. She'd make it on. Quincy Andrews was also one of my cousins, and he's, Carifta King, and he's done well for himself in the sports arena as well. And at Bushlat, I decided to try because everyone else in my family seems to be doing well at it, so why wouldn't I? And I got last, and it was embarrassing because people actually said, your family's so good, why?
Yeah.
Why are you out here in the back? and that was the first and last time I did it.
Really?
In Guyana. Yeah, it was absolutely
Oh, wow.
terrible. I didn't even lose by a little. I lost. Like I shouldn't even have been in the race.
Oh,
kind of
wow.
thing. But when I got to the States, I picked it up again. My sister again, she was phenomenal. She was doing everything in school. She was in middle school at the time, but she was on the varsity track team. So she was very, very good. And I said, well, they're not allowed to make fun of you in this school, so I'll try it again. And I was very close to my sister, and the better she got, the more she was traveling. So I just thought it was a way to stay close to her. So I picked it up, and the first year I wasn't very good again. And then towards the end of it, I kind of hit my stride, as it were, and got better and got better, and eventually eclipsed my sister and a few other people along the way.
Nice.
I ended up going to Manhattan College on an academic scholarship, actually. I wanted to study engineering. And that was one of the best engineering programs in the Northeast, and ended up just getting really, really good at it. After my first year, I switched majors to business administration and won the NCAAs my final year there. And with that time, that performance put me 12th in the world. And that's when I really started to look at it as, a means to an end, as a way to continue a career and kind of reach my other goals of seeing the world and meeting new people.
So you're 12th, you were placed 12th in the world. What happened after then to propel you into Olympics?
Actually, Mr. Neville Denny, who at the time was involved with athletics, and Andrew Harry, both contacted me about competing for Guyana, and I think it was the Pan Am Games in Winnipeg was around at that time. That was the next competition coming up, and they asked me if I would be interested in competing for Guyana at that level. And while I've given it some thought, it still seemed daunting. It's in college you're sort of with your peers, right? It's a smaller pool, but Pan Am Games, Olympics, it's everybody. It's people you know, people you don't know. So it was a bit daunting, but I agreed to it shortly afterwards, and I haven't regretted it since.
Okay, so take us back to that race that you had. How you're on the big stage. This is the biggest stage in racing. What was it like for you? And also representing Guyana.
It gives me the chills to think about those races. The Olympic Games just don't compare to anything else. There's not a feeling that you can compare it to. It's just, you live in the moment, you experienced it, and then people always ask, how was this, or what did it feel like? And it's something that just leaves me silent.
Welcome back to the show. I hope you enjoyed the first segment. We're getting to know Aliann Pompey. She's a Guyanese track star, and she is the founder of AP Invitationals. Before we get into AP Invitationals, we want to talk about what you're doing right now, because you've managed to use all your experiences, all the goods, all the highs, all the lows, and put it into where you're at St. John's University as the track and hurdles coach and recruitment coordinator. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how it has been for you.
It's been a great experience as the sprints and hurdles coach and recruiting coordinator at St. John's University. This is my 5th year. I've just completed my 5th year at St. John's, and it's been quite an experience. I tell people I don't go to work, I go to play, because it's something that I tremendously enjoy. 2 of our own Guyanese athletes, Avon Samuels and Onasha Rogers, have signed with St. John's University. So I'm thrilled that they'll be joining the group, and I can't wait to have great news to report about their performances. But as the recruiting coordinator, I'm responsible for the athletes that come in from start to finish, guiding them through the recruiting process and making sure that they're NCAA Division I eligible and things of that nature. And then as the sprints and hurdles coach, obviously I'm responsible for coaching those athletes in those event groups. And then in addition to that, I'm also responsible for a good number of the administrative work that goes into running a successful track and field program.
Awesome. And I love the fact that, you know, you have done so much on the international scenes, but you have not forgotten Guyana. And that is with the invitational meet that you founded, and you are coordinating this year again for the 4th time. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I, as an athlete, always wanted to compete in front of the home crowd. I've always gotten a lot of support. You know, whenever I was at the Commonwealth Games, I got a lot of calls and emails from people who just found me somehow and wanted to share their support. And so I really wanted to do something here. And I said it enough times in interviews, and the Boyce Jefford Classic invited me to compete here in Guyana, and the experience alone just kind of cemented my desire to have this meet. You know, competing in front of the home crowd, having them cheer and embrace me, and then I just kept reliving that moment. And eventually I got a chance to talk to the director of sports, but he was just starting at the time, and I shared my vision with him, and he said that this was something that must be done. So he did a very good job of getting me into the right offices. And speaking to people that were able to take action to help me get this started. There are several things that I want to be able to accomplish with this meet. A is to bring the Guyanese athletes home to their true fans, right? The people of Guyana, and have them compete here. The other thing that I wanted to do was bring the world's best athletes here so that they can see the comparisons. It's not something that they just have to experience on TV or from a distance. This could be right here at Lenora, and you can see, you know, your own athletes here. The other thing is that there aren't a lot of opportunities for track and field athletes to make money, and when they do, it's very little. So one of the things that I wanted to do from the very start was to make sure that there's a prize money structure in place for every event. Obviously, it's never going to be enough, right?
Yes,
it could be $1 million for first place, and it's never going to be enough. But I wanted to have this be a meet where we're not giving out pencils. We're actually compensating these athletes in the best way that we can. And I think we've been successful in doing that. We were able to get a number of sponsors on board that see the value in that, and they've been very supportive of growth in that area. The first year we had the competition, I think first prize for the highest event was about $1,000 US. Last year was 2,000. The first year for the national events, I think first place might have been $300 US, and that was it. We weren't able to trickle it down to second and third place. And then the second year we were able to do that. I think it was 300, 200, 1, and then last year it was 500, 200, 100 for the top 3 spots. So every year we're trying to increase the prize money pool for our athletes.
This year I'm coming. So I'm gonna compete this
year.
Right,
you're gonna compete this year. Sentinel Security has this year incentivized the women in that any female Guyanese athlete that breaks one of the senior national records get an additional $1,000. So if they win the event, they get that prize money, and then they get an additional $1,000.
I have a few weeks to go train.
You have some time. I know a good coach. I know a good coach, and I'm very happy that we're able to do something like that, because our athletes need it. Jamaican athletes compete at home, and they're set. That's how they earn their living. They put their all into the sport. They work full time, right? Because training for the Olympics is a full-time job.
Yeah.
You don't qualify for the Olympics doing this as a hobby. If that were the case, we would have Olympians everywhere,
Exactly.
and we don't. So we have to recognize the work that these athletes are putting in, and do our best to compensate them. So that's one of the other goals of the competition.
Okay, awesome, and I love that Guyanese are going to be compensated for all their training. So I'm going to be training for the next couple of weeks.
It'll be worth your while.
So what can we expect this year?
So this year we have a section for high school athletes. So the high schoolers will be able to share the platform with the international athletes in a meaningful way. So I hope that their classmates, their schools, their teachers, their headmasters and headmistresses and everyone come out to support them and see how they perform on that stage. We've typically had the triple jump as one of the featured field events. Troy Doris, who's the Commonwealth gold medalist and Olympic finalist from 2016, has been a staple at the meet, and Natricia Hooper, who's done very well for us internationally as well as a junior. This year we're switching to the long jump. We have two athletes that are very close to qualifying for the World Championships in Emmanuel Archibald and Chantover Bright. So we want to give them an opportunity to, give us an opportunity to see them at home, really, because the pleasures is ours. Chantover is in college in the U.S. and she's done a tremendous job for them. They can't stop talking about how great she is. Emmanuel just broke the national record in an amazing performance a few weeks back. So I think between the two of them alone, we're in for a tremendous treat. So they're worth supporting. It's worth seeing. You know, before there was Usain Bolt, there was just a guy, running in Jamaica, and we have the talent here. You know, I've always said that, even when I was competing. I went from, like I said, bringing last into house sports, and I'm a 4-time Olympian.
Look at you.
No, right? So it's not, well, my point is it's not for the lack of talent, because a lot of people beat me, right? I just was able to stick with it for whatever reason. A lot of them weren't able to stick with it. So we have the talent pool. We have to figure out ways to help them manifest their greatness on the international stage, and this is just a small way to do that. It's really, in the grand scheme of things, this is a very small way of doing that.
So we have the platform, we have the talent. Tell Guyanese when and where to come support you.
At Lenora on July 6th. It starts at 3 p.m. It'll be a very short, action-packed program, and over the course of the next few weeks we'll do releases and give you more of an idea of what to expect and what to be excited about. But I think for now we have enough in that our athletes will be there. A lot of them are in top shape. Aaliyah Abrams actually just yesterday ran 51.5 in the 400, which is my event. I might as well start saying goodbye to my national record now.
Wow.
And Arinze Chance is doing well as well. He ran at the NCAA finals in the 4x4 for South Carolina, and he split 45 seconds. So we have a lot to be happy about. We have a lot to support, and we have a tremendous amount to be proud of.
Well, I am so excited. So, Guyanese, let us get out there on the 6th of July. Let us support our athletes. We never know who could be the next Usain Bolt coming up from Guyana. So, definitely let's support Guyanese. And I just want to thank you for all that you have done, for pushing Guyana forward, for representing Guyana. Listening to you gave me chills, because I cannot imagine going on such a big stage and representing Guyana without fail. And you've done well. You have inspired us, and you continue to inspire us, and that's what I love about your story. It's a story that is continuous. So what can we expect from you for the future?
To grow the competition, I hope one day it becomes, at the same caliber as a Diamond League meet. which is the highest outside of the Olympics and World Championships. So there's a lot of growth potential for it. I think we're in the right spot with the right climate, and it's something that's achievable with support and some time. I got asked a lot about my family goals. I'm not going to have children. I will adopt. I believe that there are enough children in this world that don't have the resources and the support that they need, and I would like to be able to give that to someone. And that's essentially it.
Absolutely. I look forward to following your journey as I have done in the past, and I continue to do as I stalk you on Facebook and all that you're doing. I really look forward to following your journey, and I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your investment in Guyana and the athletes, whether it's in Guyana or it's in the US, all that you're doing for them and molding them. Thank you. Maybe my son might be one of the athletes that will come up under you. Who knows? Well, thank you for that. Before we wrap up, what is the mantra that you live by?
Ever since I was competing, and occasionally now I say sports as a metaphor for life, I believe that the lessons that I learned doing sports has been transferable into life outside of that. The same hard work and discipline and being consistent and seeing things through and planning properly, they're all lessons that I learned while I was competing, and they're the things that I live by now. So I would say sports is a metaphor for life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and I look forward to following all you're doing and being at the Invitationals on the 6th of July. So
Thanks for having me, and thank you for being an inspiration as well.
Thank you. Audience, I really hope that you enjoyed the interview today. For our young athletes, if you don't know who Aliann Pompey is, get to know her. Find her on Facebook, she'll respond. But get to know her. She's somebody you really want to aspire to be like. Thank you for looking at the show today. I hope you enjoy it. See you back next week. Bye.
AP Invitationals is on the 6th of July at the Lenora Ground in Georgetown, Guyana. We hope to see you there. We hope that you've been inspired by the many stories told here this past half an hour. Abbi's Power Lunch tells the stories of women in business in their own voice. We view this not just as another television show, but as a tool for mentoring and empowerment. We believe that women rightfully taking their place in businesses will be the successful underpinning of Caribbean economies. Women, like the one you've seen here today, women in small and large businesses will truly help to transform Caribbean communities. We would like to thank the owners, managers, and staff at the Marriott Hotel in Georgetown, Guyana. We would also like to thank our producers in Georgetown. See you back here next week for another half an hour of inspiration.